Hi guys. The book that I have for you today is one of my favorites because I actually got to meet this author. He came to one of the very first schools that I worked at back in 1997. I was teaching second grade at the time, and he came and talked to my second graders, read them his story, and then he gave me an autograph in my book that I bought from him. So this is a really special book that I want to share with you. It's called Soap, Soap, Don't Forget the Soap. It's an Appalachian folk tale. Up in the mountains of North Carolina, way back in Sassafras Hollow, there once was a boy with such a poor memory that some said he might forget his own name. Plug, Plug Honeycutt, folks yelled when they saw him walk by. Plug Honeycutt would stop and look around. Plug, hey Plug, it's you being talked to, Plug. Plug would take off his old floppy brimmed hat. He'd scratch his head and think, think, think. Plug, he'd say, Plug? But only after what seemed like forever would that forgetful boy finally remember that he was named Plug and that someone was saying howdy do to him. He'd wave real friendly, but right quick, he'd lose track of why he was waving. Because you see, no one was as forgetful as Plug, but Plug Honeycutt's mama loved her only son. Come one particular bath day, when she found she was out of soap, she sent him to the store with some money. Now, don't forget, Plug, she said with the faith that only a mother could have. Soap, soap, don't forget the soap. Plug smiled at his mama and said he wouldn't forget. No, ma'am. He lit out the door saying, soap, soap, don't forget the soap. Soap, soap, don't forget the soap, to help himself remember. Well, this worked mighty fine, at least until Plug got to the muddy old creek. Halfway over through, balancing on a slippery stepping stone, Plug spied a big bullfrog. And just like that, he up and forgot about the soap. Plug took off his floppy brimmed hat, scratched his head, and thought. But that didn't help none, because as you're sure to remember, no one was as forgetful as Plug. And just about then, an old woman came by on her way to a quilting bee. She carefully put her foot on a stepping stone and mighty near slipped and fell into the muddy old creek. Ooh, she said, that stone's as slick as soap. Plug's eyes lit up. Soap, he yelled. Soap, soap, don't forget the soap. The old woman was startled at the sound of Plug's voice. She plain lost her balance and fell, kersplat into the creek. Mad as that made her, she reached up and pulled Plug in too, dunking him twice for good measure. What a mess I've become, and now you're one too, the old woman hollered. Then she climbed out of the creek and stomped off. Plug hauled himself out and tried to remember what his mama had sent him to do. He even took off his hat, scratched his head, and thought. But as you're sure to remember, no one was as forgetful as Plug. All he could think of was what that old woman had yelled. So down the road he went, saying just that. What a mess I've become. Now you're one too. What a mess I've become. Now you're one too. It wasn't more than 2 bumps in a bend in the road later that Plug Honeycutt came upon a boy who had tumbled tail past Tea Kettle over his bicycle handlebars. He landed upside down in the blackberry brambles with a basket of eggs on his head. And here comes Plug saying, what a mess I've become, but now you're one too. What a mess I've become, now you're one too. That didn't sit too kindly with the boy in the blackberry brambles, who thought Plug was making fun of him. Up he jumped and grabbed Plug, cracking his one remaining egg on Plug's floppy brimmed hat. Then he threw Plug into all those blackberry brambles. So there, he hollered, look who's in a fix now. Poor Plug. Those thorns weren't gentle with his clothes or his hide either. If he'd been a mess before, he was a real mess now. He untangled himself and crawled back out onto the road. But of course, he couldn't remember then what he hadn't remembered before, because as you're sure to remember, no one was as forgetful as Plug. So instead of saying, soap, soap, don't forget the soap, 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 don't forget the soap, off he went saying the last thing he'd heard instead. Look who's in a fix now. Look who's in a fix now. Down the road a piece, a tree had fallen on top of an unfortunate farmer's truck. Plug hobbled upon the scene, still saying, look who's in a fix now. Look who's in a fix now. The farmer took it all wrong. He wasn't in the best of moods, what with the tree on top of his truck and all, and thinking Plug was making fun of him got him even more riled. He grabbed Plug by the collar and marched him right back over to the truck, where he made Plug saw that tree up into firewood and loaded into his truck. Nothing on top and better off for it, growled the farmer as he drove away an hour later. Poor Plug. By then, he was covered with all manner of sawdust and sweat and truck grease and grime, that besides the mud and the egg and the blackberry scratches, and he couldn't remember what his mama sent him out for either. All he could recollect was what the farmer had said. So off he lit toward the town, saying just that. Nothing on top and better off for it. Nothing on top and better off for it. Land sakes alive. If Plug's troubles weren't enough, along came a man so bald on top, the birds were blinded by the sun reflecting off his scalp. And there came Plug, saying, nothing on top and better off for it. Nothing on top and better off for it. The bald man thought Plug was mocking him for his hairless head. He reached over and snared Plug quicker than a frog does a fly. Look here, you, the bald man scolded. I'm growing me a fine beard on my chin, since I ain't got none on top. You could at least have said, you look nice with hair in your face. He was so mad, he pulled Plug's hat right down over his ears. Poor Plug. He was covered with mud, egg, scratches, sawdust, sweat, grease, and grime, and now his hat was ruined. He started to cry and streaked it all with tears. But as you're sure to remember, no one was as forgetful as Plug. So as he went sniffling into town, he still couldn't recall what his mama had sent him for. Instead of saying, soap, soap, don't forget the soap, 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 don't forget the soap, he could only think of what the bearded man had said. You look nice with hair on your face. And with that said, and that was what he said. You look nice with hair in your face. You look nice with hair in your face. To the mayor's wife. Poor Plug. The mayor's wife was the prettiest lady in town, always fussing with her lipstick and such, and admiring herself in the mirror. Why, you, she shrieked, and grabbed him by the ear. She shook him so hard, his eyeballs rattled. I ought to wash your mouth out with soap for saying such a thing to me. At the sound of the word soap, Plug lit up like Methuselah's birthday cake. Soap, he cried. Soap, soap, don't forget the soap. Plug ran straight to the general store and bought some soap. Then he hot-footed at home, shouting to his mama, soap, soap, don't forget the soap. He was so proud he'd remembered. Soap, soap, don't forget the soap. Why, thank you, dear, Plug's mama said. She looked him up and down. I'd say soap is just what we need. And from that day on, you're sure to remember, Plug Honeycutt never forgot a thing his mama told him. Not ever again for the rest of his life. The end. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story today, guys. Like I said, it's one of my all-time favorites, mostly because it's kind of silly. It makes me laugh when I read it. And because I got to meet the author. I hope someday you all get to meet an author too. Until tomorrow, I'll see you later. Bye.